Okay, so I'm going to talk about meltdowns. Okay, basically, meltdowns, different things can trigger them. The first thing, one thing that can trigger them is something called sensory overload. And basically, this is where your senses become like more acute. And for me, it's mainly just three of my senses: my eyes, my ears, and touch. That's the most common. So basically, for autistic people, when they're in sensory overload, sounds can seem louder, and they can actually physically hurt your ears, because and also lights can seem brighter and hurt your eyes, and some people, not me, but other people I've heard can actually see lights flickering, and that can really bother them. And also touch, clothes can seem really itchy, and that can irritate you. And so basically, when you're in sensory overload, you notice everything, and instead of blocking it out, your brain just tries to register everything there is to register. So say if you're in a classroom and there's like 10 conversations of different people chatting, and your brain will like try and register like every single word of everything, and it just becomes really overwhelming. And not only do you try and register everything, but also each individual sense or piece of information that you register is more intense, as I said, louder or brighter, and you get so many coming at you, it's just really overwhelming, and that can trigger a meltdown. So that's one cause of a meltdown. But I'm going to say now, basically, some people think that a meltdown is just the same as a temper tantrum. They're similar, but they're quite different. For example, a temper tantrum, if you're like a young child, it can be caused by a scenario such as if you want to buy some chocolate, for example, but your parents won't let you, then you might have a tantrum because you're not getting what you want. But the thing with a tantrum is, when you get what you want, most of the time it'll stop. The tantrum will stop, and once you've got what you wanted. But with a meltdown, it's not like that. Even if the trigger was not getting something you want, that's not what the meltdown will be about. I'm sure of it. Basically, so it won't stop if you get what you want. It's a build-up. It can be triggered by a build-up of loads of stuff, like emotions or environment, so sensory overload, thoughts that have been building up, and even just like more severely autistic people, when they feel ill and they can't communicate it, they might have a meltdown. Or if you're tired, you often have a meltdown. Or stress, you don't realise that you're stressed about something. All these things all build up, and then one trigger can trigger the meltdown. So parents often think that their child is just being silly because they had a meltdown because they couldn't have some chocolate, but that's not what the meltdown's about. Okay, also, when you're in a meltdown, people with autism, when they're in a meltdown, often engage a lot more in repetitive behaviour. So for me, I flap my hands a lot, and I rock back and forth. But this is okay. Don't try and stop your child from doing it, because it's calming to them. They're trying to soothe themselves, so that eventually they'll diffuse the meltdown. Also, people with autism, quite common in severe autistic people, but people that are high functioning can have it too. Because I'm high functioning, but I also have it self-injurious behaviour, sometimes sort into SIB, and I punch myself in the head and bite myself and other people do similar things. But basically this is, you can't, even if you know what you're doing is wrong, which I'm not sure if more severe people understand that it's hurting themselves, but even if you did understand, you can't stop it. It's kind of like if you've got OCD, then you understand because it's like a compulsion, but it's not, but you like have to do it. And it's also comforting because the sensory feeling of the repeated head banging is a comfort, and it's soothing, and it's different to when people self-harm, because they're not trying to punish themselves or stuff like that. It's just they have to do it, and that they can't control themselves, and you can't think rationally, and also in a meltdown, more generally in boys, because generally boys tend to be more aggressive than girls. They might hit people or throw things, but try not to get too angry at them because they can't really help it. They're so out of control. They can't even think when you're in a meltdown. But with girls, they might do this too, but girls are more likely to cry because they're more passive in nature. Even in neurotypicals, girls are more passive than boys. Also, meltdowns can last a long time. Like, most of mine last an hour at least. And once you're in a meltdown, it's really hard for it to stop. You have to wait basically till the child is worn out. But there are ways to try and diffuse it. So methods that my mum does, she gives me, she holds me really tightly, because this sensory feeling is calming, being tightly hugged. Also, another thing you could use is a weighted blanket, or if you don't have that, just, I read somewhere that someone piled the laundry on top of their son, and that was quite calming for him. Also, if your child is rocking, you can hold them, but don't stop them rocking. You can rock with them, and it's quite soothing for them, what it is for me. One very important thing, don't talk too much to them. When you're in a meltdown, you are so overwhelmed with everything, and when someone's trying to talk to you, it's just you're too overloaded to take anything in, and it just makes me feel worse. And also, with me, when I'm in a meltdown, become non-verbal because I'm so just overloaded with everything. So there's not much point trying to ask them questions like what's wrong. They won't answer. Well, I won't answer. Even if I want to, I physically just can't respond for some reason. So if you're going to talk to them, talk very quietly, because if their ears have got really sensitive, it'll seem really loud even if you're talking normally. And often my mum just goes like tells me like shh, shh, and that repeated noise is quite calming. So if you're not even going to speak to them, you could do stuff like that. And finally, exercise. When I'm quite bad, my mum will take me outside to the trampoline, and that really helps. Exercise will definitely help the situation. So yeah, that's a meltdown. I hope I helped you understand it, and yeah, I'm going to finish up now, so my video is not too long. It already kind of is a bit long. But yeah, I helped you understand a meltdown, and yeah, bye.